right, so Porter Moser and the Oklahoma Sooner squad, they get it done. They beat Texas for the first time in Porter Moser's career as the head coach of the Oklahoma Sooners basketball team, 76-72. And Oklahoma fans are now asking the question, is this enough to get into the NCAA tournament, or does Oklahoma have to go have a good SEC tournament performance to be able to sneak their way into the NCAA tournament? We're going to discuss all of that today. We're going to give our thoughts on Porter Moser's future as the Oklahoma Sooners head coach. Before we do that, though, as always, I want to hear from y'all, so make sure you join the discussion. Jump in the comments below. Give me your thoughts. If you guys are new to the channel, wipe your feet and hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Sorry we haven't been posting as much content, guys. Listen, it's been a rough week, a rough month with work and everything else going on. So trying to keep my head on straight. And this is where we're going to start. Oklahoma is going to, in the SEC tournament, tip off against the Georgia Bulldogs. And this was a game where on the road, if you were Oklahoma, you lost this one 72-62. You kept it close on the road. So you feel like going to a neutral environment in Nashville, you should hopefully be able to win that game, especially with how you've been playing over the past couple of weeks, where you beat a top 25 Mississippi State at home, barely lost to a Kentucky team at home, 83-82. If it wasn't for some blown calls, we could be talking about Oklahoma being 5-0 in this final stretch of games after coming off a 5-loss losing streak. So the Oklahoma Sooners, if they beat Georgia, will end up going to play Kentucky. And if they beat Kentucky, they'll play Alabama, where you would feel like it's pretty certain at that point Oklahoma will drop that game. But the Kentucky game and the Georgia game, you feel like Oklahoma has a chance in based on what you saw this season in the regular season. Now, Oklahoma, they go out here, they beat Texas 76-72. If you were an Oklahoma fan like myself, after I got off doing some grocery delivering, I came home, watched the final couple minutes of the game, was kind of watching it a little bit while I was shopping, but you kind of saw the Oklahoma Sooners feel like they were letting the game slip. I don't feel like it was really in question once Oklahoma had a 5 to 6 point lead there, but it felt like you were on edge. Like, is this going to be the game that Oklahoma has had so often this season, like against a top-ranked Texas A&M team that came to Norman, where you let the game slip? But ultimately, Oklahoma, listen, where you lose the rebounding battle by 12, you lose the three-point battle 33% to 38%. And you really barely shoot better than Texas. You only have 5 turnovers, and you caused Texas to have 11. That's what wins you the basketball games. And if Oklahoma can carry this kind of success into the SEC tournament, beat Georgia, you feel like they're squarely in this thing, because Georgia is in the NCAA tournament as it currently sits. It feels like they are a lock at this point. So if you beat another NCAA tournament team, that's just another win on Oklahoma's resume here. And then if that point, Kentucky, Alabama, those are all gravy. If Oklahoma can go out there and do something, great. But at the end of the day, the question is, will Oklahoma make the NCAA tournament? And I think they will. I think at this point, they've done enough. I think it's, 5 or 6 quad one wins at this point. Oklahoma was 13-0 out of conference. I do believe maybe the committee will give Oklahoma the benefit of the doubt because they won 13 games out of conference and beat teams like a Michigan, who is playing its best brand of basketball right now, Arizona, Louisville, Georgia Tech. You beat your in-state rivals in Oklahoma State. I think all of that matters, and I think when the committee goes to look at it, Oklahoma gets in, especially with teams like Arkansas and Georgia, who are in the tournament, who you thought would have maybe been bubble teams, they're in. So you look at it, I think Oklahoma's in, and the question is, is Porter Moser going to return this next season? And I think a lot of this is going to depend on how this tournament goes, right? If you go out here and you get blown out in the round of 64, I think you're still going to have a lot of donors and a lot of fans still calling for a change at the head coach for the men's basketball team. But if Porter Moser goes out here and he shows that he's continuing to build this thing, and he can retain this roster, which I think getting to the NCAA tournament winning a game or losing it by a very slim margin creates some momentum going into the offseason, gets guys excited to want to return for another year, which has been a problem for Porter Moser. And then maybe he can finish that off with maybe a nice recruiting class. And at that point, I think you give Porter Moser the extra year. So if Porter Moser goes out here and wins the round of 64, I think he's here for sure. It's a lock for another year. Unless Will Wade just says, hey, I know Porter Moser's been struggling. I want to come to the University of Oklahoma, give me the head coaching job. And it's kind of one of those things where you kind of can't turn it down, right? I don't think that's going to happen. But, something to that nature, I think would be the only reason why Porter Moser wouldn't return after a round of 64 win. If he wins the round of 32, which I think is best case scenario. If you're Oklahoma and you get in the tournament, I think you want to win your round of 64 and round of 32 game, because with the way that you played out of conference and style of ball that you're playing right now, which has been Oklahoma's best ball that they've played up until they started conference play this year, I think you can carry that into the tournament. And if you can carry that through those first two games, you really should be able to beat whoever you play in those first two series. Those aren't going to be like the first round of 64 game should be a formidable opponent for you. The round of 32 game might be a little tougher, but Oklahoma has shown they've been able to beat tough teams, especially on neutral sites. And that's kind of where I'm hoping Oklahoma can kind of turn this ship around. And if we look at it, a round of 64 win is that's a great season. A round of 64 and 32 win for Oklahoma, that's a phenomenal season. I don't think any OU fan is going to complain about that at this point. And I get it. Some people still don't want Porter Moser to return, so they might be upset. But you can't be upset with the program having momentum. And that's what's going on right now. This program has momentum. You see a young guy in Jeremiah Fears, who tonight against Texas kind of had a slow start, but figured it out. A Bryson Goodine continues to step up for you. A Muhammad Wagi, guys, had 3 points tonight. Only 2 rebounds. Muhammad Wagi's been playing his best brand of basketball over the past 4 or 5 games. And I think that's important because this is a guy that can return for you next year. Look at a guy like Duke Miles. If Duke Miles can continue to give you what he's been giving you over the past 6 games, that's good for Oklahoma. That's good enough. That's the thing. You don't need a Jeremiah Fears to go off for 25 a night. You just need every guy to step up like they did tonight. In the absence of a Sam Godwin, everybody stood up. They played a physical style of basketball, and although they lost the rebounding battle, Oklahoma was able to create turnovers, and with their guard play, which travels in the NCAA tournament, go out here and win a basketball game that a lot of people questioned because Porter Moser has not beat Texas in his career up until tonight. So the questions were, does Oklahoma make the NCAA tournament? I think it's yes. Is Porter Moser returning next season? At this point, I say it's yes. And if you're an Oklahoma fan, getting to the tournament is a good season. Winning the round of 64, great season. Winning to get to Sweet 16, which is winning a round of 32 game, phenomenal. Excellent. Don't say you can get any better than that. So, want to hear from y'all. Join the discussion. Jump in the comments below. Give me your thoughts. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys hit that like and you guys hit that subscribe button.